All right, in this explainer, we are diving deep into one of the most powerful archetypes in history, the siren. We're going to break down exactly what makes this figure so, well, so captivating. And I'm telling you, the secrets behind it all, they might just surprise you. So, let's just start with a really big question, right? What is the secret to that kind of irresistible allure? You know, that quality that can just stop an entire room dead in its tracks. Now, I'm willing to bet the first thing that pops into your head is, conventional beauty, right? A perfect, beautiful face. I mean, that seems like the obvious answer, doesn't it? But, and this is where it gets really interesting, the analysis we're digging into today totally flips that idea on its head. It argues that a perfect face, all by itself, can actually create distance. It can come off as cold, maybe even a little unapproachable, which is pretty much the exact opposite of seductive lure. Okay, so that brings us to our first big idea, the siren's true power. And trust me on this one, it is not what you think. I mean, just listen to this quote. It really hits the nail on the head. It says, "A beautiful face does not a siren make." And then it points to two of the biggest sirens in history, Cleopatra and Marilyn Monroe. And get this, it says neither of them were known for their beautiful faces. Wow, that's a pretty bold statement, right? So if it's not about having one perfect feature, then what is it about? Well, here's the secret sauce. The siren's power is all about bypassing our rational brain. The whole point isn't to be admired from way over there. It's to create this generalized desire. It's an overall impression that's so captivating that it's distracting, you can't quite put your finger on it, but it's just deeply alluring. So let's dig into that a little more, this idea of creating an overall impression. We're going to go way beyond just a beautiful face and look at the whole package, the total physical presence. And you can really see the core difference here. On one hand, you've got conventional beauty. It's direct, it's obvious, and like we said, it can even feel a bit cold. But the siren's appearance, that's about the total package. It's a carefully crafted impression that's meant to be distracting, alluring, and to just completely short-circuit your logical brain. Okay, to really see this in action, we've got to look at this amazing historical example, Pauline Bonaparte. You might know her as Napoleon's sister. She was an absolute master at creating this kind of unforgettable impression. So, picture this. It's a ball in 1798. Pauline Bonaparte walks in. And she's not just wearing a nice dress. No, she is a complete, curated vision. She's got this headdress with clusters of gold grapes, a Greek-style tunic with gold embroidery, a gold girdle held together by a magnificent jewel. The source material says the entire room just stopped in stunned silence. See, her entrance wasn't just an outfit. It was a full-on theatrical event. And here's the real magic behind why that worked so perfectly. The key was that even though everything about her dazzled, it was all harmonious. No single piece was screaming for attention on its own. You couldn't just point and say, "Oh, what a nice headdress." You were just completely overwhelmed by the dazzling, harmonious whole. It was the total effect. But here's the thing. A siren's allure isn't just visual. Not at all. The second key weapon in her arsenal is her voice, and it's described as having this almost animal presence. Now, the siren's voice isn't loud or aggressive. It's the total opposite. It has this unbelievable suggestive power. It just kind of hints at deep emotions without ever spelling them out. It's calm, it's unhurried. The description is almost like she's never fully woken up or even left her bed. It's the kind of voice that just pulls you in. And the psychology behind this is absolutely fascinating. The analysis calls this power regressive. What does that mean? It means on some deep unconscious level, it reminds us of the ultimate comfort. A mother's voice calming a child. So you've got this mix of comfort and seduction all rolled into one. And that combination? Whoa, incredibly potent. And just look at the variety here. This isn't about having one specific type of voice. Not at all. You had Cleopatra, whose voice was mesmerizing and sweet-sounding. Then there's Empress Josephine, all languorous and exotic. Of course, Marilyn Monroe, who famously had that breathy, childlike, but still low voice. And Lauren Bacall? Her power was in that naturally low, unhurried delivery. The point is, they were all different, but they all used their voice as a powerful instrument of suggestion. Okay, let's move on to the final element, which is the art of adornment. And we're not just talking about fashion here. This is about creating an effect that feels almost magical or even supernatural. You know, the poet Charles Baudelaire, he captured the essence of this perfectly. He said the goal is to astonish and bewitch, to become an idol that's adorned specifically in order to be adored. It's like the clothing and the jewelry are literally part of a spell being cast. So, a really key tactic here is this idea of selective disclosure. It's this understanding that revealing just a little bit is way more powerful than revealing everything at once. The whole idea is to strategically show only a part of the body, and then let everyone else's imagination run wild and do the heavy lifting. And we see two perfect examples of this in history. You have Marguerite de Valois, who was one of the first to really feature décolletage in her wardrobe. Why? Because her chest was said to be the most beautiful in the kingdom. Smart. Then you've got Josephine Bonaparte. For her, it was her arms. They were famously beautiful, so she made sure they were always bare. See the pattern? They identified a strength, and they knew exactly how to hint at it, which made it so much more alluring. All right, so after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Let's bring it all together. Here's the bottom line. The siren's power. It's not something you're just born with. It is a constructed art form. It's built from a captivating overall impression, not just one pretty feature. It's amplified by a suggestive, alluring voice that gets past all our defenses, and it's all perfected through this dazzling, harmonious, almost magical use of adornment. And that leaves us with one final, provocative question for you. Now that you know the elements, this constructed impression, the suggestive voice, the artful adornment, where do you see the art of the siren in the world today? I mean, think about it. In the media, in culture, among public figures, it's an art form that is absolutely still alive and well, something to keep an eye out for. Thanks for joining us for this one.